take me home, take me on a ride. I got a good feeling about the colors lighting up your eyes. Take me home, take me to the sky. I got a good feeling. Tell me the only thing you are is mine now. I got a good feeling. I got a good feeling. Good feeling. I got a good feeling.
Hi, I'm Blanche.
I'm LaRonda.
Welcome to episode 4 of Blind Grace. Today we are going to be talking about advocating versus patronizing. But first I want to give a shout out to these earrings. For my visually impaired listeners, so I am wearing the colorful stripes one of the girls at Fork and Spoon made us, which is a local restaurant here in Baton Rouge. But I'm wearing the, I guess you would call these the rainbow.
They're Airhead Extremes,
Airhead
friend.
Extremes.
Come on.
And you are wearing the...
I have on the peach rings. Shout out to Sam at Fork and Spoon. But I think her earring business is called Blue House.
I think so.
Yes.
I think so.
Blue House on Instagram at Blue House. My girl to get you right.
Yeah. So anyway, these actually look like candy.
They do, but you can't eat them, y'all. Can't eat them.
No, you can't. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about patronizing versus advocating. You know, and that kind of goes back to some of the other episodes that we've already talked about. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the biggest things, you know, is, are you truly advocating for them or are you truly patronizing them?
Yes.
You know, and that goes as their teacher, as their parent, as their therapist, as their friend. Like, are you truly giving them room to grow? You know, we talked about planting those seeds earlier, and you got to plant those seeds. And yes, you have to give them words of encouragement, but you also have to let them have time to grow.
Right.
You know, and so really we're kind of just today talking about, you know, ways that you can do that and how the difference looks like. You know, so for some of my littles that I talked about on previous episodes, advocating for them, you know, like sometimes it's a lot easier as their O&M or as their friend or as their mentor, you know, for me or for a parent, you know, to just do it for them. Mm-hmm. Like it's taking longer, oh, let me just do that, you know, or let me, you know, instead of like showing them or maybe doing hand over hand or hand under hand. And that's one of the important things too. Like when you are first working with somebody that's visually impaired, it's really, really important because a lot of these babies have been in the hospitals, they've been poked and prodded, they don't know if someone's coming at them. And so I always encourage everybody to go hand under hand. So, you know, allow them to move freely so you're not grabbing their hand and forcing it to do whatever they need. So, soft topic. Anyway, and so really it's learning to advocate for them and letting them learn how to make the mistakes, because if we don't truly ever give them the freedom to make those mistakes, then what are we really doing?
Right.
You know? So can you tell me maybe a little about maybe a story or something of one of your kiddos, you know, where it would have been just a lot easier to just do it for them?
That's like every day, to be honest, especially. And I'll say something that people can actually relate to, whether you have a visually impaired child or not, right? Something as simple as like your kid opening their first juice box on their own. Like it's way easier to grab it and be like, nah, let me just go ahead and put that straw in. We all can, like, you know, we all can have a great day. Right. But understanding that at some point they're gonna have to put their own straw in so they can learn today. They can learn tomorrow, or they can learn 10 years from now when it's no longer cute to have somebody else putting your own straw in, right? I feel that's kind of like an everyday thing. I think oftentimes when we discuss visually impaired children, people forget the children part, right? Oh, they're visually impaired, so we have to do for them. But if it was another child, you would teach them, correct? Right. So it's the same idea. And every time you do it for them, what you're really saying is, oh, you can't do this, so I have to do it, right? So if we're being real, every time you do for a person that's capable of doing for themselves, you're taking away their opportunity. You're also taking away their confidence. Right. And making them believe I actually can't do this for myself. I think it's a constant conversation that I have on my day gig where I'm constantly like, I know it's easier for you to do it for them, but like if you keep doing it, they'll never learn. Right. So understanding that something as simple as putting a straw in a juice box, right? Finding my own way to the bathroom. If I'm always guided to the bathroom, I don't know where the bathroom is. So if I ever have an emergency or someone can't bring me to the bathroom, now what? Right. Another really good example is whenever I'm doing route training in general. So oftentimes I consistently get the feedback of, oh, well, Miss LaRonda, they couldn't find XYZ's classroom. Well, how do you know they couldn't find it? Well, they kept passing it up. That doesn't mean they couldn't find it.
Right.
Maybe they're just an overshooter. Maybe they have to find what's past it to know they've passed it to come back, right? I think we forget that we have the privilege or benefit of sight. So I can see that door, therefore I will directly walk up to that door so I know I'm there, right? But in a generic hallway, all the doors are the same.
They are.
So maybe your classroom is the last one on the right before you get to the bathrooms. So maybe every day that child passes up your classroom, goes to the bathroom and turns around. That doesn't mean they're lost. That means that bathroom is their focal point, and once they find it, they know where your classroom is from it.
Well, and I think too that we're pretty fortunate that we get the kids one-on-one. And so we are allowed to kind of, they open up to us a little bit more and they let us into their world, and we have those opportunities to be able to, let them make the mistakes. And people often, may see us in the hall and it's, they're lost as a goose, but we're allowing them that time to make those mistakes, like we said, it's a lot easier to just do it for them.
Right.
And so what you're talking about is, yes, there are times where the kid may be traveling and they're looking for the second door on the right, but they may be looking for maybe something on the wall, like the teacher's name or something like that, and that might be what they're listening for. They may be listening for like the air condition. That's one of the things, early on when we're teaching the little ones, if they use their ears and they hear the air condition that's always running, they know that they're on their way to the office. And so a lot of times what will happen is, people will stop us, which kind of goes back to, sometimes we giggle and laugh, say we need a sign saying, O&M instructor, please don't, training, don't talk to us. So we've even talked about, wearing like the construction colors and stuff like that. But it also too, going back to like the patronizing and, what are you really hoping to accomplish, and what are you hoping to allow, going back to the parent part of it, take away the visual impairment and let's look at, why have they not learned how to tie their shoes, or why have they not been able to put the straw in the juice box, or why have they not been able to locate whatever it is on their plate, And so one of the things, just kind of off topic a little bit, when you are teaching your little one and you're teaching somebody, maybe somebody comes into a restaurant and you're maybe a waiter or something like that. We use the clock face a lot when we're teaching. And so, you set out this plate of food and you can tell them that like their mashed potatoes might be, at 12 o'clock versus their green beans, might be at 6 o'clock. And so you can learn and use simple words so that, you're not having to, talk down to them. You're really just giving them some of the tools and some of the words to kind of, help them along.
And even like in that vein, right, it's okay to ask a question. Like I find oftentimes people want to help, they don't know how to help, so then they wind up goofing all over themselves trying to figure out how to help, when it's just like, ask somebody, how can I help you? Like literally, rather than feeling like, I think a lot of times that's how like patronizing comes about, right? Oh, well, because they're visually impaired, they must be slow, right? So I'm going to talk to them like they're slow. Nah, I just like vision. So understand that it's okay to ask, how can I help you?
Yeah.
If we're being real in that vein, not only do you ensure that you're giving them exactly what they need, but you're also giving them the opportunity to practice being their own advocate.
Right. And two, that kind of brings us to the point where, we keep talking about the kiddos and how we work with the kiddos, but I've worked with a lot of people prior to the school, and a lot of them have lost their vision later in life. And I feel like that's a harder thing to digest because they're angry, and it's the why me. And, one of the things with Blind Grace is really bringing that community, bringing it back, and, continuing to educate people, which is why we're going to be doing Dining in the Dark coming up. And so it's one of those things where, you really have to take a step back and allow them, you don't know their story, you haven't walked in their shoes. And so you don't know if they lost their vision because of diabetes. You don't know if they lost their vision because, they might have been in an accident. I mean, everyone's story is completely different. And so you've got to allow them even time to process it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're dealing with traumatic brain injury or, a stroke or something like that. And so, we just automatically assume that maybe they're stupid, or maybe they didn't hear us the first time, or maybe they just don't understand.
Right.
And so, patronizing them versus advocating for them, just like, hey, I see that you might be struggling, or, can I help carry something for you? Or, can I help load the groceries or something? Things like that. And so it's really, really important, no matter what walk of life they're in, to truly kind of take a step away and figure out, what they need, and learning how to help them advocate for themselves, but they may be in a situation where they can't advocate for themselves, and they need you to advocate for them.
Right, exactly. I think figuring that out can be a very fine line, right? Like understanding at what point is the best advocacy I can give is to do nothing. I think it's also a very hard thing for many people to do, especially when you are dealing with someone that you believe to be in a vulnerable situation, a vulnerable state, figuring out when it's like, wait, the best way I can advocate for them at this time is just allow them to do it. Allow them to struggle a little bit to get through it. Allow them to pass up where they're going to know they passed it up, right? So I think that's a very mucky water, to go through, but it's necessary to understand at what point is the best advocacy I can give is to do nothing right now. To allow them to do it themselves, even if it gets messy, parents. You know what I'm saying? Letting them figure out how we can figure out what's on this plate, what's in front of me. Yes, it's easier for you to feed them, but at the age of 15, your parents still feeding you. It's no longer cute then, guys, So yes, it might be messy. Yes, it may be outside of your comfort zone, but sometimes we have to get uncomfortable to ensure someone else's comfort. And that's definitely, for me, with advocacy looks like often. Like, it's definitely stepping outside of my own comfort zone and understanding that I may be uncomfortable right now.
Right.
Like, extremely uncomfortable right now, but my uncomfort can bring them comfort.
And a lot of growth happens in that uncomfortable state.
Yeah, if you want to be comfortable, you don't want growth.
Right.
Levels to levels to levels. So you can't go to the next one without getting a little uncomfortable for sure.
All right, we'll have to save that for another topic.
Cool
So
beans.
thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next episode.
Bye-bye.